students at the top of the hour.
And this week is National Eating Disorders Week. We'll fill you in on how the Women's Center is preparing to tackle this important issue.
Snow is blanketing the ground right now, but how much can we expect to see fall through the weekend? I'll let you know during my full forecast.
A former Kent State Florence student shares her perspective on the deadly coronavirus overseas. We have her first-hand account. TV2 starts right now.
This is TV2 News.
Two students pled guilty involving a hazing death at Ohio University. Good evening, Portage County. I'm Shaquiena Davis.
And I'm Jacob Gajda.
Two Ohio University students pled guilty yesterday to fraternity hazing, which led to the death of a student. 20-year-old Cullen McLaughlin pled guilty to 2 counts of LSD possession. 21-year-old Dominic Figliola pled guilty to 2 felony drug possession counts and misdemeanor charges of hazing and violating underage alcohol laws. A third person, 22-year-old Zachary Herskovitz, pled guilty to permitting drug abuse. Neither of the students will face jail time, but must complete the prosecutor's office at Athens County Empowerment Program. And 7 new investigations have risen for Greek organizations at The Ohio State University for violations of student conduct, 4 fraternities and 3 sororities. 4 of them already have a history for previous offenses such as hazing, alcohol abuse, or dangerous misconduct. The university refused to say which organization are being investigated until the cases are resolved.
Coronavirus has grabbed many headlines as of late, but there's another worrying disease that is killing right here in Northeast Ohio. Cuyahoga County has reported 2 more influenza-related deaths this week. A 33-year-old woman and a 79-year-old woman both passed away earlier this week, bringing the number of flu deaths in the county to 16. The Cuyahoga County Board of Health encourages everyone to get vaccinated.
You know, Jacob, it's kind of hard for me to predict the weather. You know, lately I've just been walking out, not even noticing how cold it is.
Snow on the ground today. Yes. You know, people were in shorts a few days ago. Someone who does know a thing or two about the weather is Kyle Miller. Hi, Kyle.
Jacob, and yes, I can say the weather has been pretty unpredictable as of late. Right now, though, 23 degrees outside and feeling like 9 degrees. I can tell you I don't like that. 13-mile-an-hour winds, I also do not like that. It's bone chilling outside. And in my opinion, a good night to stay inside. But if you do go outside at 8 p.m., we're going to get to 23 degrees, a few scattered flurries around the area. 10 p.m., same temperature, not going to fall very much, but we will see a break in the snow. And going to midnight for you guys that are out late, snow returning at 22 degrees. You can see a little bit of snow scattered throughout the Northeast Ohio region, but as you zoom out to more of a national scale, you can see a big system down in South Indiana coming up to Ohio with small odds of making its way up toward the Cleveland area. Other than that, a lot of lake effect snow up toward New York that we don't have to worry about right now. And you can see pressure low system sitting right in the Midwest with a stationary front, kind of giving us this bad weather that we're seeing right now, but unfortunately, we'll have to deal with it. That's all I have for right now. Stay tuned to get a look into the rest of the week.
And the former First Energy Solutions power generation business renamed itself Energy Harbor Corporation after emerging from bankruptcy. Energy Harbor is now in Akron with 2,600 employees. The independent business was helped by a state-approved 85-cent monthly surcharge. This is expected to provide the company with $150 million annually with safe and reliable power.
Now, if you've ever taken a music class in middle or high school, you're probably under the impression that Beethoven lost his hearing and didn't hear his final symphonies. But one Kent State professor thinks this famous composer may have heard his last few compositions. Professor Theodore Albrecht has been studying Beethoven's life and has been translating writings that reveal Beethoven may have been able to hear until 1825, meaning he was able to hear his last few infamous symphonies.
A Summit County man was arrested after accusations of exposing himself in public. According to officials, the man approached a teenage girl February 5th at Erie Park in Green, asking her if she had pliers. The girl was unharmed and immediately contacted the police. A week later, a 58-year-old woman was at the park when the man approached her asking the same question. She also notified police with details of the man and his vehicle. The next day, detectives found the man and arrested 46-year-old James Smoot of Greentown for public indecency.
Well, it's a big night in Athens for Kent State men's basketball as they try to sweep Ohio University for the second year in a row. TV2 sports director Ben Pagani is there live. How's it going, Ben?
How's it going, everybody? I'm Ben Pagani at the Convocation Center in Athens, Ohio. Kent State's warming up behind me, and we're just about half an hour or so away from tip-off. These two teams met just 2 weeks ago, and the Bobcats got beat by this same Kent State team 87-72. Kent State looked great that entire game. Whether or not they can repeat that tonight, yet to be seen. Here's what we do know. There are 4 bye spots to get to Cleveland for the MAC tournament. Right now, Kent State is on the outside looking in. They are in 6th place. A win tonight would help them out. They'd be in 5th. There's just 3 games remaining. Tonight against Ohio, a game on Wednesday, and then a game on Friday. That one's going to be against Akron in northeastern Ohio. Big rivalry game. It's going to be a tough stretch for the Flashes. They lost 2 games in a row before winning this past Tuesday, so they're on the right path. Lots of Kent State sports going on this week. Michael Reiner is going to be with you in just a few minutes, and he's going to be giving you the full Reiner rundown and his complete sports report. Right now, I'm Ben Pagani at the Convocation Center in Athens, Ohio, TV2 Sports.
Well, thanks, Ben. As we finish off National Eating Disorder Week, it's important that Kent State students remain informed.
That's right. Our reporter Halee Sepulveda has more. Halee?
Hi, guys. The impact of eating disorders was recognized across the nation this past week, and I spent today learning about the impact these disorders have on college campuses and how well students are informed of them. Disorder Week comes to an end. I spent the day learning about how eating disorders affect students on college campuses and the impact they have in Ohio. Studies have shown that the rate of eating disorders among college students has risen, affecting 10 to 20% of female students and 4 to 10% of male students. Although there are Ohio state organizations that are working to raise awareness about the prevalence of eating disorders, members of the Women's Center on Kent's campus think that our community could be doing more to spread the word.
People normalize not eating here. And it's kind of terrifying. It's either because they can't, we're not financially stable enough, or because the food sometimes isn't good. We're not creating those safe environments for people to be able to eat comfortably or be able to openly talk about issues relating, because it's not even just having an eating disorder, but just not having a healthy relationship with food.
Anastasi also told me that while college students are expected to be transforming into adults, she feels that there is not enough credit given to how difficult the transformation can be.
We acknowledge that they're pushing us towards adulthood without recognizing all of the problems on the process.
Within the next year, Anastasi hopes to implement a program at the Women's Center that will focus on body positivity. She hopes that the program will work toward empowering self-image and better inform students of what eating disorders actually look like on college campuses.
I think it's important that we recognize our own biases when talking about other people's bodies, and it's absolutely nobody's business it's nobody's business to comment on what somebody's body looks like.
To begin this new body positive program in September, and believes that the program will have a great impact on the student body. Reporting for TV2 News, I'm Halee Sepulveda.
Well, thank you for that report, Halee. Staying in Kent now, Kent State Schools is asking for the community support on issue 6, the no new tax bond. Should the motion pass, the district will receive a $25 million bond paid for by district property owners. This is an effort to improve security and safety in all the district's buildings. Money would also go towards athletic facility improvements and the arts.
70-year-old Portage County man was arrested after allegedly stealing $700,000 from his fellow veterans at the Aurora Veteran of Foreign Wars post. Daniel Molnar, former quartermaster of VFW, faces 3 counts of theft, money laundering, and tampering with records. Aurora Police Chief said Molnar was writing checks from one account to cover the cost of another account. Molnar was arraigned Monday morning.
The Portage County Department of Job and Family Services are reporting a large spike of children in their care. The department is currently caring for 230 children. In recent months, they were caring for only 209. Portage County Children's Services is seeking more funding in the upcoming March 17th election.
But first, a former Kent State Florence student gives her take on the coronavirus epidemic in the region.
And can we expect to see snow continue to fall through the rest of the week? I'll let you know coming up.
This is Portage County's TV2, broadcasting from the campus of Kent State University, streaming online at kentwire.com.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice, single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
And then from this angle, it all makes a star.
I'm a teacher. Let me tell you what I make. I make learning a privilege, not a chore. And frustration, a tool, not an obstacle. I make working hard seem easy, and giving up impossible.
And then we're going to turn the lights and everybody look up.
I make an old subject feel like a fresh thought.
What's your reaction? Yeah, exactly.
And unconventional methods
Okay, what else?
common.
This is their world.
There's nothing. And then they die. Go ahead, go, go, go.
I'm a teacher. I make more.
Thanks for sticking with us. There is major concern for students studying abroad in Italy, where cases of the coronavirus continue to rise by the day. Our reporter Maddie Haberberger breaks down the decision to keep Kent State students in Italy while other colleges around the U.S. decide to pull their students out.
It's 1:30. 1:30?
Kent State's program remains open, but they're taking precautions to keep students safe. Taylor Susi, a former KSU Florence student who currently lives in Siena, spoke to students amidst the coronavirus concerns.
I think a lot of people felt better after hearing our conversation. You know, a lot of the students afterwards told me that they felt a little more comfortable and calm.
Students at Kent State Florence live in individual apartment buildings, which makes it easier for administration to monitor their health and limit contact if necessary. Universities that have suspended their programs, like NYU and Syracuse, have students stay with host families.
In Tuscany, they have museums open. They still have schools and colleges open for Italian students. So Kent is following their recommendation.
Although students have the option to fly home or to take their classes online, Susi says not much has changed for students and citizens in the region.
A lot of people are talking about it more, that's for sure. No one's wearing masks, anything like that. But for the most part, I think everything's just kind of normal still.
Susi says that many students spending the semester abroad have plans to stay in Florence.
I think a lot of people want to ride it out. If we get to a point where we're forced to leave, a lot of us are going to stay. But there are a few people who want to go home.
Susi has the same advice for flashes in Ohio as she did for those in Florence.
Panic is never the answer. So I think it's really important for people to stay informed, stick to the government websites, and breathe. We're going to be okay.
For TV2 News, I'm Maddie Haberberger.
The massive construction for Route 8 in northern Summit County will begin at 6 p.m. Sunday. The project starts south of Graham Road interchange and ends past the ramp to Route 303. Between 55,000 and 60,000 drivers pass through the stretch of the highway in Stowe, Cuyahoga Falls, Hudson, and Boston Heights. Officials say the Route 8 project will be completed by summer 2022. And a police officer was attending to another call when he shot and killed a robbery suspect armed with a large knife at a convenience store in Sylvania. Officials say a store clerk called Sylvania police about a suspicious vehicle in the store's parking lot. Shortly after the call, William Resto walked in and stole money from the register. The officer on scene confronted Resto with several warnings before shooting him 3 times. The officer was not injured.
A ballot approved by Ohio voters to give legal rights to Lake Erie has been denied by a federal judge. A union of environmental groups led the effort as a way to add new protections for Lake Erie by allowing people to file lawsuits on its behalf. U.S. District Judge Jack Zoury said the measure was unconstitutional, vague, and exceeded the power of municipal government in Ohio. The environmental groups say they're concerned about the toxic algae blooms and the lake's overall health. Many organizers criticized the judge's decision and are hoping the city appeals it.
Back, everybody. Taking a look at the temperatures around Northeast Ohio and Kent at 22. We're kind of being left out of a few warmer temperatures. 26 in Cleveland. The warmest is 27 down in Canton, 25 over in Sandusky. And other than that, just a couple 24s and 23s. But in Kent, we're kind of being left out. 27 down in Steubenville as we go statewide. And both Athens and Cincinnati kind of sitting right on that freezing mark at 32 degrees with 27 in Dayton. And looking into the weekend, 27 was the high for today. On Saturday, we're going to see more of that snow all day. Cloud cover, it's mostly snow in the morning, the high 29. On Sunday, that's going to be the day to be outside and do what you want to do. 48 degrees is the high. That sun is going to peek out again and should make for a beautiful day. Enjoy it though. You get to Monday, rain all day, unfortunately. Constant rain. The high will go up to 49. That temperature is going to stick going into Tuesday, but man, rain is coming late again, and it's going to keep on going to Wednesday. So rain and snow all day and even into Tuesday. Thursday, just another day of rain. So enjoy this sunny Sunday while you can. That's all I have for you right now. Have a safe weekend, Portage County. With TV2 News, I'm Kyle Miller.
A survey that released information regarding obesity and where the government stands in health concerns. Our reporter Welleed El-Mobasher has the story. Welleed?
Thank you. With a recent CDC survey announcing 40% of American adults are at some form obese, many are wondering what the government and medical professionals are doing to combat this. What the public may not realize is there has been a bill going through Congress for over a year now. It is called the Treat and Reduce Obesity Act.
If we look to it, if the government or private insurance start to pay in for weight loss pills, they can save on the long run a lot of money and a lot of comorbidity and a lot of illnesses. They can prevent a lot of illnesses.
If passed, the act would make most, if not all, prescription weight loss medicine and supplements accepted by health insurance, which really could help in the battle to combat obesity.
The premium high because of the illnesses people have, which is very costly in general. I mean, those illnesses require a lot of medication, which medication could be expensive and does cost. Require a lot of visit, whether to the physician, sometimes hospitalization, and those are costly. So if we can really prevent all of these illnesses, mainly diabetes. Diabetes is the main, almost epidemic, because the diabetes is really very costly and have a lot of complications in the long run. So a weight gain linked to type 2 diabetes directly most of the time. There's other autoimmune conditions, something like LADA, like latent autoimmune diabetes for adults, or type 1 diabetes. Those are not as common as a type 2. 80% of diabetes are type 2, and those linked to obesity. So yeah, if we can definitely do something to improve obesity in the United States, we can prevent diabetes. By preventing diabetes, we can lower costs indirectly.
With 0% of prescription weight loss medicine being accepted by health insurance, doctors who know about the bill are hopeful that this will be a turning stone in the fight to reduce the obesity epidemic. From TV2 News, I'm Welleed El-Mobasher.
An Oregon man has been arrested for trying to buy Girl Scout cookies with counterfeit money. 35-year-old Camden Descharme tried to use a false $20 bill to purchase the cookies outside a Walmart. The Girl Scouts who accepted the money say they knew it was fake but felt threatened by a knife in the man's belt. Descharme was arrested later after being identified by a security guard. And plans for a Philadelphia safe injection site have been delayed after a local landlord pulled out of a lease agreement. The proposed site was set to allow heroin users to shoot up in a monitored and safe facility. This to help combat the overdose deaths. The organization looking to open the center has said they will explore and look at different locations. And all Confederate memorabilia will soon be banned at all Marine Corps bases. Commandant General David Berger made the announcement after a congressional hearing on white nationalism in the Marine Corps. Berger also ordered Marine Corps leadership to give women more of a role in active combat zones and announced that mothers will be provided with a year of maternity leave.
State lacrosse just finished up its home opener at Dixon. I'll have more when we come back.
A Syrian attack on Turkey's military that killed over 30 soldiers has the country speculating whether or not they will take military action on Syrian regime forces. Stick with us.
Can we get strawberries?
Okay.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Hoping to reach an agreement there, and the deadline remains valid. And this is something that we've made very clear to the Russians as well as to the Iranians, and through them to the regime, that if they continue these attacks, there will be a military response from our side, as we have done. And if they attempt to attack our soldiers again, there will be very severe response and retaliation from our side.
About 33 Turkish soldiers were killed in Syria's Idlib province Thursday in an attack by Russian-backed Syrian forces. Turkish officials say 35 other soldiers were injured and taken to hospitals in Turkey.
Yeah, this attack comes days before a Turkish-imposed deadline on Syrian-backed government troops to move out of the region. Turkey could take military action after this deadline. And the U.S. Navy announced today that the Chinese military warship fired a military laser at its aircraft. Military-grade laser beams produce a powerful beam of light that can travel long distances and temporarily blind pilots. The U.S. Pacific Fleet is calling China's actions unsafe and unprofessional. The incident comes from ongoing tensions between the U.S. and China.
Quarantined foreign diplomats are being evacuated from North Korea due to the spread of the coronavirus. The country has yet to confirm a case of the virus, but health officials warn that the country is at risk to the outbreak due to its close proximity to China. Reports state that the 60 people are expected on a flight. A date for the flight is not confirmed, but is likely to travel far east of the country.
Hello, I'm Michael Reiner, and this is your TV2 Sports Report. We have tons of snow last night, but the Kent State and Butler lacrosse teams braved the elements today at Dick Stadium. And here we're going to go to the first period here. Megan Kozar, she's going to work her way around, create some space, and score here for Butler. And they get on the board first in the home opener for the Flashes. Big game for Butler here. It was all Butler, though, unfortunately. But here's one play from the Golden Flashes. Abby Jones, she's going to score for Kent State. She was the point leader for Kent State, and Hopefully she could pad on more this season. Moving on to Butler here as Layla Tatterfield. She's going to work her way into the center of the field here and score for Butler. Big time game for the Bulldogs, the team from the Big East here, as they will go on to win 18-9. And the men's and women's track championships are now underway in Akron. One Flash hasn't wasted any time taking home gold. TJ Lawson walked away victorious in all three of his heptathlon events. Grace Fry finished second in the shot put at 39 feet and 2.25 inches, and Desiree Thomas finished fourth at 36 feet 475. Saturday's events begin at 10 a.m. with the 60-meter hurdles. The top 6 competitors in their event will score points for their team. And Kent State softball might be facing their toughest challenge yet this evening in the Woo Pig Classic. Earlier today, they fell to number 9 Florida State by the score of 11-1. The Flashes will be back in action later tonight at 8 p.m. against the host Arkansas Razorbacks. The Flashes are 7-4 on the season and 6-2 on neutral sites. First pitch from Bogle Field in Fayetteville, Arkansas is at 8 p.m. And Kent State baseball's 3-game set with Winthrop University is underway from Rock Hill, South Carolina. The Flashes are already off to a hot start as they lead 1-0 in the first inning. Michael Turner had a triple, and Justin Kirby has the RBI for the Flashes, and they are leading 3-0 now in the 6th. Luke Albright pitching for the Flashes. Big time game there for Kent State. They're leading 3-0. Stay tuned to Kent State Baseball on Twitter for updates. And what would your Friday be without a Reiner Rundown? This weekend we've got a lot to watch. First, we have the Cavs coming off their big win over the Sixers Wednesday night. They head to NOLA to take on Zion and the Pelicans. Next, Bruce Pearl is headed to Rupp Arena as the Auburn Tigers take on the Kentucky Wildcats. And lastly, in the XFL, the DC Defenders will square off with the Tampa Bay Vipers this Sunday on ESPN2. And that's all I have for sports. Follow at TV2 KSU Sports on Twitter for updates on tonight's game between the Flashes and the Bobcats. I'm Michael Reiner. Back to you, Jacob.
Thanks, Mike. I'm a massive Reiner Rundown fan. Now, Valencia from the College Voice is going to give us a rundown on the latest happening in the world of pop culture. You can tune into the full episode right here on TV2 tomorrow at 10 a.m.
As always, it's been an interesting week in the world of entertainment and pop culture. See what child star is joining a very popular TV show and what child show is making a return and more on this week's Hot Topics. Presidential Medal of Honor recipient and NASA mathematician Katherine Johnson passed away this week at 101 years old. The trailblazer was responsible for making the calculations that put men on the moon. She was portrayed by Taraji P. Henson in the major motion picture Hidden Figures. This was the first time many people were made aware of the contributions of not only Katherine Johnson, but many other Black women at NASA who made amazing contributions to math and science. May her soul rest in peace. Macaulay Culkin will be on your TV screen soon, but not in Home Alone reruns. It was announced earlier this week that he'd be joining the cast of American Horror Story for their 10th season. He'll be joining a star-filled cast including Sarah Paulson and Evan Peters. The show is slated to premiere later on this year. This year is 2020, and just now an act was passed to make lynching a federal hate crime. The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act passed in the House to a vote of 410-4. A bill like this was first introduced over 100 years ago and has been introduced and failed almost 200 times. Even though it is longer overdue, it's important that it's being acknowledged for the incredibly hateful crime that it is. Then, TV show reboots have become increasingly popular, and while usually I'm not a fan, I'm really excited about this one. The Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, will be coming to Disney Plus with the original cast members reprising their roles. If you're wondering what the timeline will be, the show will pick up with Penny in middle school. There's no official release date yet, but it will be released sometime this year, and I will be waiting. Lastly, this past Wednesday was Ash Wednesday, which is a Christian holiday that marks the beginning of Lent. It's observed in several ways, but most people who participate give up something in their life for 40 days leading up to Easter. People I know are giving up things.
Thanks for joining us this Friday evening. Stay with us for a new episode of Portage Pulse at 7.
And don't forget to watch Kent Core tonight at 9.
And I'm Shaquiena Davis. Have a great night, Portage County.
Well, yeah. I was sitting here dancing.
It's a big responsibility.
Oh, it's huge. I know, it's huge.
And the salary.
Oh my god, yes. I mean,
Right?
like, I was about to move in with my parents, and right before, yeah, so this saved me.
I really believe in you, you know?
Thank you. It's nice to hear that from someone.
These are cool. Did you, what did